Joining me on the Rundown with Ramon, this is Ramon Ray, publisher of zoneofgenius.com, and I get to talk to Aisha Taylor Issah, who's the founder of Sistahs in Business, which does expos, events, video, t-shirts, hats, hoodies, lip gloss. We're going to find out all the empire she's building right now, but thanks for being here on the Rundown with Ramon. You can get to know me better at ramonray.com or zoneofgenius.com. Aisha, my friend, how are you today? How you feeling? How's life? Thanks for being here.
Well, Ramon, thank you so much for having me. Always a pleasure to be in your presence, whether in person or virtually. And so I'm excited to chat with you. Thank you for having me.
Indeed, Aisha. Can you please just unpack for us, Aisha, what Sistahs in Business is? And then I do want to go backwards a bit. If I forget, remind me. I want to know more about you personally and how you got here. But let's start first, who you are today, what you built, what you're building. Take your time. Feel free to unpack that for us.
Sure. So, Sistahs in Business Expo is the country's only multi-city small business expo and community created specifically to celebrate and educate entrepreneurial women of color. We do that through a variety of ways. First, through our expos or our, large-scale trade shows or small business expos, as you have it, which we host in several cities around the country, where we bring together hundreds of vendors, speakers, panelists, experts, entertainment, all for these high impact and high energy days created to celebrate and educate entrepreneur women of color. We also have our Sistahs in Business University, which is the teaching and training arm of the brand, where we provide education, resources, instruction, community all around, giving sisters the tools and skills that they need to successfully start, grow, or scale their businesses. We then have our nonprofit entity, which is the Sistahs in Business Foundation, where we give away grants to women of color entrepreneurs, primarily through our pitch competitions. And then most recently, even though now we're going in, 2 years in, is the Sister Shop, which is our retail and e-commerce destination that features the brands of over 150 women of color entrepreneurs from around the country. We have two locations, one in Elizabeth, New Jersey at the Mills at Jersey Gardens, and one in Atlanta, Georgia at Atlantic Station. And so that is essentially kind of who we are in a nutshell.
Can I just tell you, Aisha, how proud I am of you? I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I just, when I hear it, my heart's so endearing. I've been to the mall. I was like, I know a real person. I can touch somebody who has a shop in the mall most of the time. We just know Nike or whatever it may be. So
Right.
good for you, Aisha. Who is this for? Talk to the ladies, to the women who are listening to this. Who is this for? What kind of mindset should they have or should not? Maybe that's the wrong question. Who are you talking to? Who would you say, Ramon? No, we're probably not a fit for them. Or is it all? Talk to the Zone of Genius, the Rundown with Ramon audience. Who is the woman you're like, if this is you, you need to dive all into the Sistahs in Business ecosystem. Who's it for?
So it's for my sisters. It's for women of color who look like me, who have the same experiences like me, who have a desire and an interest to be an entrepreneur, whether they are just starting out and need help, navigating the process of becoming an entrepreneur, or are already an established entrepreneur, but are looking for support and help in growing their business and their brand. That is who this is for. On our event side, it's also for those who like to support Black women in business. So if you just love to shop with brands by women of color and love to be in spaces where Black women are celebrated and uplifted, then this is for you too. So you don't have to be an entrepreneur to come to our events. You just have to love them and want to support them. So
I love that you said two-part. It is for the entrepreneur herself who wants to grow and is in the struggle of entrepreneurship and the success too, and or vendor agnostic, ideally, who's like, I want to make money from this community. I want them to buy my stuff. People can invest with Sistahs in Business and be a sponsor, vendor, whatever it is, if I'm hearing correctly, and serve the audience. Is that a fair statement?
Right, or just those in the community who like to support and shop with
Oh, I see.
brands by
Yes,
women
yes,
of
yes.
color. So who love great energy, good vibes, and great finds, and want to be intentional about where they're spending their dollars. So there's the corporate support side, but then
Got
there's
it.
also the everyday consumer who wants to support and shop intentionally with brands by women of color.
Got it. So Ramon Ray's looking for his next pair of socks. Well, my wife is looking for a new bag. She can just come by the Sistahs in Business ecosystem and
Exactly.
shop around.
Exactly.
I love it. Aisha, talk to us about yourself and anything about your background, who you are, who you're not, who you are. Tell us about you. And leading into, how did you get here? Walk us through a few milestones. Where were you 3 years ago? Where were you 10 years ago, 15 years, whatever? A few of those jumps of what led you
Yeah.
and a bit about who you are.
So I'm a roundaway girl from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn, in a home filled with a lot of love and faith,
Mhm.
Christianity and the church was always a big part of our upbringing, as well as just family and that type of support and love. And so that is who I am. I'm a daughter, a mom now, a wife, and just really intentional about doing what God has called me to do. I also have a background in ministry. I've been an ordained minister for over 20 years. And so much of my work, whether in the church or in the marketplace, meaning as an entrepreneur, is still service, right? So everything that I do, I consider it part of my calling and my commitment to serve in various capacities. I started off my professional, non-entrepreneurial career in public administration. So I
Okay.
worked in city government for almost 15 years in New York City, worked my way up to executive director at one of the city agencies, and then left to pursue entrepreneurship and ministry full time. So that is a little bit about me and kind of who I am.
I
And
love it. And tell me,
and to get here,
please. Yes, that's what I want to know. What's the
so
jump
yeah.
to?
So my sister and I owned a career consulting business for over 15 years.
Okay.
So I'm not new to entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
We had run that brand and reached a lot of levels of success. I think that's actually how I initially connected with you, was through TaylorMade and the work I was doing with the Urban
Yes.
League and some other groups, and Black Enterprise and stuff like that. Um, so that was my first introduction to entrepreneurship. Around 2017, American Express had put at this, article about announcing that women of color were the largest and fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs in the country. And that's really when all of the buzz started around us and entrepreneurship. And the reality was that while we were the largest and fastest growing demographic, we were the least funded, least invested, least supported, and least likely to grow and scale. And that just did not sit right with me, didn't sit well with me. And so it was around the spring of 2017 when God began to give me this idea for Sistahs in Business. My sister and I had always participated in expos, trade shows as
Mhm.
a service-based business. And we knew the value in them, but we also knew the challenges that came around participating in them because they were oftentimes very costly, or very exclusive or unique to specific, industries. And so when that buzz came out, I wanted to do something and I wanted to create something that would give women of color a platform to showcase their products and services, but not come at an astronomical rate. And so that is how the Sistahs in Business Expo was birthed.
Mhm.
And so we announced the brand in 2017. We held our first tour in 2018. We toured 4 cities, both 2018 and 2019, Newark, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Columbia, South Carolina, and Atlanta. And then 2020 happened. And so that put, a little pause on things, but then it also um, brought us the sister shop because it was during
Mhm.
that time when we launched our retail component when we couldn't have our physical events. And that completely changed the trajectory of our brand and allowed us to do more than we ever could have imagined. And some other parts were added, like the university and the foundation, based on what we heard from our audience and what they needed. And so that's really how we got here.
I love that. How did you start? What was the first 6 months like? Just so I understand it, doing a trade show. I guess some insider stuff I already know. Did you pre-sell and have a cushion to get event space and all this? Did you just take your credit cards and max them out and be like, let's hope? Just talk a little bit about the tactics of the community. You got to get, vendors. Then you have to have people coming in. How you marketed it. Walk us through
Yeah.
some of that initial pump priming. How
Yeah,
you
that's a good
started.
question. So, this was all trial and error.
Okay.
This was a very grassroots launch. My other business was very different from this. I ran a career consulting business from my laptop with little to no overhead. And, at that time when we first started, social media wasn't booming like it was. We, of course, eventually, moved into it. But
Mhm.
so this was a very different business model for me, and came at a lot of cost, with a lot of overhead. And so a lot of it was figured out along the way. There are articles about me starting this brand with 500,000. I'm sorry, $500, not 500,000, $500. And I guess you call $500 in a dream, right?
Love
So,
it.
literally just took $500 out of my own savings, to put down a deposit on a venue. At that time, I was able to do that. Now you can't get anything but $500 deposit, but was able to secure a venue, and then the rest was literally just putting together a strategy for marketing. We were heavy into social media. I was heavy into the streets. Like, I literally was out in the streets, in the
Mm.
communities, talking to people. I went to every event I possibly could, every engagement or any opportunity I had where I knew there would be a lot of Black women. I was there, to talk about this and what we were trying to do. And it was always well received. And so when we finally announced that we were opening it up for vendor applications, we sold out in the first 6 weeks. And then when tickets went on sale, we were over capacity for that venue at that time, which was not a small venue. We still had about 6,000 square feet. And so, yeah, it was a lot of grassroots, a lot of hitting the pavement. We had folks out, passing out flyers, posting flyers, in addition to what we were doing on social media. And the most, I believe, kind of just assuring part or reassuring part of this was the response that we got from our sisters, that
Mm.
they were on board immediately, that they trusted us, and we did not take that lightly. And so that is why we do everything we can to operate in excellence.
Oh, I love it. Everything we can to operate excellence. And you do it, Aisha. I've been able to observe your journey and see how you roll. And it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What I feel to do is to play a game with you right now, Aisha. I feel
Okay.
we're going to play a game. I'm going to be this small business owner. I'm going to throw some questions at you and get your feedback. We can do it together. It's not a gotcha time, just so you know. I know it's
Okay.
not, but just to, and then see how you like this, see where you want to take this. Okay, Aisha. My family. So I'm a business owner. Maybe I'm a Black woman business owner. Aisha, I've been trying to get my knitting business started. My family doesn't support me. My dad and mom say I should go to college, get a traditional degree, and business owners just for Shark Tank. It's just for other people that I should help the family. That I can't do it. That I have no support, Aisha. Everybody in my family is doctors or lawyers and goes to a gleaming tall office building every day. And my dad's saying, "What are you doing on a laptop in your room? What are you doing going to the expo trying to learn?" What do you say to her, Aisha?
So first of all, I say to her that, what she believes she's been called to do, is important and valuable and needed, and that it really is a matter of finding your people, right? So sometimes we think that our family, or our bloodline, or the people in closest proximity to us will be our support system, and unfortunately, sometimes they are not. And so what you then have to do is be intentional about finding your people. There are enough examples out here of successful Black women entrepreneurs. And so, there should be no question that it's possible. The
Mm,
question is just, how do I get there? Right. And so finding your people, and by your people, I mean others who will encourage you, support you, coach you along the way, or just provide that courage, or that reassurance that you can do this. And that's what you have to be intentional about. So, they say you can't, beat a dead horse, or whatever the term is, right?
mm,
But you don't want to waste time trying to get support from people who have made it clear that they're not going to support you, and rather use that energy to focus on building what you've been called to build and connecting with people who are on the same path or who are willing to support you. And they are out there. There is no question about that. And that's why we have to be intentional about how we spend our time, how we spend our resources, where we go, the types of events that we participate in, because your people out there, you just got to find them. And when you find them, you're good to go, right? Because what you're creating is much needed, and it's just a matter of getting it in front of the right people.
I love it. And Aisha, I have a habit of throwing 37,000 questions in one breath. I know you can handle it, so feel free to answer whatever you like.
Mm-hmm.
Another question, Aisha, to get everybody. By the way, Aisha, feel free to one more time give us your full name, name of your company, the website we can reach you. Please tell us one more time that. I like to do that several times in my interviews, but one more time, promote yourself and Sistahs in Business Expo, please.
Sure. Aisha Taylor Issah. Sistahs in Business Expo is the brand. Our website is sibexpo.us, and that's SIB like Sister in Business. So sibexpo.us, and on all platforms, we're at SIB Expo.
I love it. Again, if you're hearing this interview, please definitely share it. Let people know they have a home in Aisha's business. More so, it's even bigger than that. Sistahs in Business Expo, they have a home there as well. So, Aisha, another question here. I have an idea for an app. I need funding for it. Mark Zuckerberg got funding, Elon Musk got funding, and Jimmy Kimmel got funding. So I'm looking for an investor because I can't start my business without an investor. This is what I'm reading. Everybody got funding, so I got to get mine.
Mm-hmm.
Aisha, what do you say to me? And again, you may have 10 questions about it, but just play with me here. I need an investor to do my app. I need an investor before I get my empanada food truck started. What do you say, Aisha?
Well, first of all, you have to do the work, right? So it's easy to say I need an investor, but the reality is you have to be prepared for an investor. And so we have to do the pre-work, right, to prepare ourselves to even have those conversations, right? What are you bringing to the table, right? Is it just an idea, or have you done any research? Have you done any prep work? Have you secured at least your domain? You don't need an investor for that. That costs $15, right? Like, have you secured all of your social media real estate? Have you built out a landing page? Have you done proof of concept? Have you tested the market? Like, what have you done to even begin to have this conversation with an investor? And so that would be my first recourse, is to ask the question and to press and push people to be prepared, right? Because a lot of times we want opportunities, but are we ready for them? Are we prepared for them? And so investors want to know that they're not only the one who's going to invest in your business, but have you invested in it at all? What investments have you made, whether through time, talent, or resource, to position yourself to be ready to take on some external support? So that would be my initial response to that.
I love that. That's powerful. Another question, and then I'll see, Aisha, if these prompt anything, that tips or anything you want to give. This is a great discussion. Again, I'm saying things, Aisha, that I've heard, that I've gone through my own family, that people have said. Aisha, the reason my business is not growing is because men in general are keeping me down. Like, this is a man's world, and it's rough. It's just that I can't do it. It's men, or you don't know what it's like, Aisha, to be a Black woman. I'm talking to you, so wrong person to tell it to, but you get where I'm going. Like, no, it's racism. It's this. They didn't like me. It's too hard, Aisha, blah, blah, blah. So, and again, to be clear, everybody, I'm not talking light of it. Ramon talks in a humorous way. These are real issues. But Aisha, what do you say to that woman who says, hey, it's because of men, or because of just I'm Black and it's just too hard, and you don't know what the journey I've been through. People keep me down. What do you say, Aisha?
So if it was a day when I didn't have a whole lot of patience and I didn't really want to hear any pity parties, I would say, well, go get a job, right?
Good point.
Go get a job, because entrepreneurship is not for you, right? Like, if you go into it with that mindset, because the reality is those challenges exist in every area of life, right? Like, women and Black women are always going to be the most enfranchised, or the most discriminated group. That was the term I was looking for. We are the most discriminated group, period. In any demographic comparison, right? And so that is not going to change. We can't change who we are, right? But what we can change is our perspective, and we can change the effort and the work that we do. And so if you just don't feel like being bothered with the work that's required, then go get a job. But if you are committed to being an entrepreneur, and you want to rise against and above these barriers, then first of all, you have to go into it with your head held high, knowing that I don't want to cuss, but Black women been this forever, right? Like, we've been holding it down. We've been that girl, like, we are the creators of this entire world, right? And so you have to go into it with that type of confidence, and understand that people are the reason why you're facing these barriers, because people are intimidated by your greatness, right? And then just understand that, yes, you might have to prove yourself more than someone else. You might have to work a little harder than someone else. It's unfortunate, but it is our reality, and none of those things can or will stop us from reaching our potential if we're willing to do the work and won't quit. Like I said before, there are enough examples of women, Black women, who have reached immeasurable success as entrepreneurs, and if they can do it, so can you. There's nothing different about them. And so what you then have to realize is, how can I overcome these challenges? Because two things are not going to change. I'm not changing my gender, and I'm not changing my race. So I'm going to always be a Black woman. And so I'm either going to take that with me and use that as the motivation and the confidence I need to do my best work, or I'm going to just decide I'm not up for it. And,
Yes, yes. It's funny, Aisha. A client of mine, I don't know if you've been to those conversations, but I'll just tell you the end of the story that he was trying to say. He was trying to say, Ramon, you're a Black guy. I love your style. That's what he wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't know how to say it that way. He was stuttering a bit. He was like, Ramon, I like you. You bring something to our events in every way. And I said, I know what you mean. He was saying it endearingly. So
Yeah.
also we can use these things as assets. We are
Right.
as we are. Maybe you Spanish, maybe you Irish, maybe you're Black, maybe you're Chinese. Own who you are, people.
That's it.
And
You have
so,
to be
own who
yourself. You
you are.
can't be anyone else.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Aisha, anything else that comes to mind for you, Aisha? I could interview you for hours and hours, but I'm curious, any success stories that maybe come to mind for you, buddy? I know, Ramon, don't make me pick my favorite child. Any success stories, or overall, just as you're thinking of what you've built and seeing thousands of women go through your proverbial hands, you and your teams, as you're building this, the university, the nonprofit, you have the shop, you have, of course, the expos. Anything that you've seen that comes to mind, and then also any last tips or words or advice from what you built, either way.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. It has been so exciting to just see so many women that we've been able to impact, and provide these opportunities and spaces for. Oftentimes, it's the response that we get, or the email back, or the words of thanks and appreciation that help us to know that this work is worth it, because it is a lot of work. And so that is what motivates us to keep going and to keep pushing in spite of the obstacles that we ourselves face. And I always try to encourage and let our sisters know that I too face challenges. I too am the owner of a small business and a Black woman. So a lot of the rejection you get, I get. A lot of the challenges you face, I face. So I'm able to approach this work from a unique lens because I experience it myself as well. And so I just always encourage my sisters, if this is in fact something that you believe God has called you to do, then giving up is just not an option. And so we have to just continue to push and press. Sometimes you got to take a little break. Sometimes you have to regroup. Sometimes you have to pivot. Sometimes you have to re-strategize. Sometimes you got to let some people go. But whatever those changes are, keep the main thing, which is your why, right? Why are you doing this? Why were you called to do this? And let that be what motivates you to keep going.
I love it. Everybody, this has been my friend Aisha Taylor Issah, founder of Sistahs in Business Expo. You can just Google them, find them on all the platforms. Definitely check out the university, check out the nonprofit, see if your items could possibly be in one of their stores. And definitely all of us should attend the Sistahs in Business Expo. Aisha, it's been a pleasure having you here. My name is Ramon Ray, publisher of zoneofgenius.com. And get to know me better at zoneofgenius.com or ramonray.com. Aisha, I appreciate you being here today. Be blessed.
Thank you, Ramon. I meant to add one
Please
thing.
go for it.
We
Yes.
have some major things happening this
And I should
holiday
have asked you.
season.
Please
No
tell me.
worries. I wanted to share that. I meant to say it in my last little spiel, but
Yes.
for our 2023 holiday season at the Sister Shop, we have some incredible vendor opportunities that are coming up in Atlanta at Atlantic Station. We're hosting a holiday market. We have secured a huge vacant retail space over 7,000 square feet where we will be featuring close to 50 Black women-owned businesses for 3 weekends, beginning with Black Friday weekend and then 2 weekends in December leading up to Christmas. So it's a great opportunity to get your products and services in front of a huge shopping audience. Atlantic Station is one of the busiest shopping centers in Atlanta during the holiday season. So we encourage you, if you're interested, to visit thesistahshop.com to check out that opportunity. And then also in our retail stores in both New Jersey and Atlanta, we have the opportunity to join us as a weekend vendor, where you also can pop up live in our stores on the weekends and sell your products and promote your services. And so we encourage you to check out that opportunity at thesistahshop.com.
I love it. And say the URL one more time,
Yes,
Aisha.
the Sister Shop, and it's spelled Sistah. So thesistahshop.com.
I love it. This is an opportunity you all don't want to miss. I have been to the shop before. I'm not like a shopper, but I browsed and I bought some things. So I encourage everybody to be overall, even in the Sistahs in Business Expo ecosystem. So much there, but definitely this holiday season. Check out what Aisha said about Atlanta. Check out what Aisha said about the shops they have and more. So there's a lot here for us, Aisha. Thank you so very
Thank you,
much.
Ramon.